So sit up well, everybody. Pull the buttock flush to the right and the left. So you observe the contact of your body down onto the sitting bones and lift up through the trunk. So we're going to start today with some sort of mindful breathing to right away get in touch with the organic body, the inner body, which is related to the water element. The water element, its quality is fluidity. So let's take some breaths that have the quality of fluidity. You don't need to shut your eyes yet, but just let the breath fill from the inside out. Like the lungs are touching the container of the rib cage, like a gentle knock on the door. Not a pounding on the door, a gentle knock on the door that the inner body touches the outer body. And then when you exhale, could you maintain somewhat that additional space that's been created? So fluid breath, soft breath. Now as you continue, again, these are not pranayamic breaths. It's just intentional awake breathing. Now let the breath touch the skin of the side ribs, the skin of the breastbone. And the skin is a sense organ related to the air element. Think if there a breeze blows by you, you feel that on your skin. And B.K. Sanger has said that the skin gives us sensitivity, discrimination, right? So the air element is associated with the buddhi, the inner intelligence, right? So now let the breath touch the skin of the side rib, of the sternum bone, even the skin up here on the collarbone. Just a couple breaths to try these things. I'm kind of establishing some signature ideas for the class. And then the third element that we're working with today is the beautiful area of akasha, space. So imagine the chest with 8 corners, 2 front corners, 2 back corners at the top, 2 front corners and 2 back corners at the bottom. And have the idea that the breath is spreading into all 8 of those corners. So the quality of space is pervasiveness. And while I'm speaking, you're just continuing this very gentle exploration of the breath touching these 8 corners. Front and back on the bottom, front and back on the top. Space pervades. Space is the cauldron from which life emerges. Space is the emptiness from which form emerges. So really space is a matrix for all of Prakriti, all of nature. And now relax. And now stretch your legs out and change across the legs. So now we get to our washcloths. I will just say swimming noodles work as well. I've seen B.K. Sanger use the swimming noodles for different things. This is a legitimate Iyengar Yoga prop. Now it's not the time of year to get them, obviously, but next May or June, if you don't have these, just go to your drugstore. They cut with scissors easily, and they have many uses for the knee, upper back, neck, so many things. But I'm giving today the cloth. So you fold and roll. Put it in the armpit. Fold and roll. So you just had a few minutes of this very intentional breathing. As I said, not deep breathing, not pranayamic breathing, intentional awake breathing. Now you've got these cloths. Now don't squeeze them, but lift the front armpit chest. And notice that due to this placement of the cloth, there's a definite spread of the skin on the sternum bone. I hope you can feel that. Lift the front armpit chest and descend this back armpit. Now back armpit, that might be a little elusive, but isn't that very, very close to the outer border of your shoulder blade? Yes. So ascend, lift the front armpit and descend the outer shoulder blade. So I hope you feel this beautiful widening. Now fold the palms and maintain the width. You may feel, depending on your build, maybe you have broad shoulders and not really long arms, that your hands barely will meet, right? You want to cave in, but see, can you keep the width? The palms meet, and now gently shut your eyes. Smooth, soft inhalation. Smooth, passive exhalation. Now go again with the image of spaciousness, pervasiveness of the breath that touches all the far corners of the chest. Like a big mansion whose rooms have been closed up and Everyone has decided not to have a party. The rooms are open. The cloths are taken off the furniture. The windows are open. Let the breath go to all those little unknown nooks and crannies. Keep the chest tall, keep the chest wide, and completely relax your face. Now let's see if with our chanting of Om, we'll do 3 Oms together, you can keep going with this fullness, this softness in the breath. Take a breath in, everybody. And together, bow your head. Release your palms. Bring your head up and open your eyes. So I hope you had a very positive impact from the rolls. Now take the rolls away. One more little bit of sitting. If sitting's hard for you, you need to bend forward for a moment. You need to arch back for a moment. You need to relax your legs for a moment. Of course, do those things. And then come back to one more little bit of sitting. So I hope you found that had a positive impact. I absolutely love it. Those of you who are practitioners of seated pranayama, you can try with these. It's very helpful. So now could you now have the memory? Memory, smrti. Smrti, memory helps us learn, right? So those rolls have made an impression. Could you keep that impression of the lift, of the width? And we are going to do a chant today. So obviously one of the themes today is to work with obstacles. And obviously we are dealing with many obstacles right now. So if you are familiar with, or even if you're not, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, number 130, the sage Patanjali lays out for us, you know, if you're going to be on the path of yoga, probably you're going to run into some problems. And here's what they're likely to be. The first thing is you're going to have disease. Well, we're certainly facing that now. You're going to have injury, you're going to have illness, you're going to have disease because this is a body, right? And those obstacles go through from the gross to the subtle, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual obstacles that we face. How can we face them with courage? How can we face them with fluidity? That's water element, mobility, air element, and spaciousness, space element. We're adaptable, we're open-minded and so on, right? So I feel at this time it's very important that we recognize not only our own difficulties, but the suffering of others. And so I want to start with this beautiful prayer for all beings. So I'll say it in English, you say it back. In Sanskrit, you say it back. And you can find a link at the end of the class if this is of interest to you. I've shared a document with you with this chant. So lift up your chest, fold your palms, and close your eyes. We should generate a feeling in our heart of the wish, the sincere wish that everyone be well. The sincere wish that our yoga practice benefits not only ourselves, but all those around us. That is like fuel for the practice when we dedicate it to the welfare of others. So as I said, call and response, first in English. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from illness. May all beings experience goodness. May no one suffer. Om, peace, peace, peace. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now raise your chest once again into the fullness of space. Bow your head to your heart. Release your palms. Raise your head. And open your eyes. All right, come on forward. Now if that's a difficulty at all, then take use of your blocks and place the hands on the blocks for that forward extension. All right, draw the thighs back, draw the groins back, and lengthen the sternum going forward. If this is a difficulty, make it doable. You make it doable with a tall block. Maybe you make it doable with a chair or a stool, right? So we know from experience, you can continue in the pose and gaze at the floor. We know from experience that we don't work skillfully with obstacles by throwing ourselves against them. We have to flow around, we have to flow through. So similarly, our yoga should not be a constant struggle. We need to make the poses doable. And that means we have to be humble, adaptable, and so on. Come on up, change across the legs. So that means we know if we're a person who can bend low and very easily and go on the cup-shaped hand, and then that's our yoga. And we know if we're a student who should be putting the hands up on a chair or on the blocks. So we're not forcing, and yet we're also challenging ourselves. We're finding that sweet spot in between overdoing and underdoing. We're finding that center. Draw the groins backward. Draw the outer thighs backward, and the whole front body, from the navel to the sternum bone, extend forward. Smooth, steady breath, everybody. And then come on up. All right, well, thank you for your patience, I hope, with a longer period of sitting. But, you know, in India, Gita would have us sit for a long time. Cultivating the ability to sit is really quite important. All right, so we're going to take a bit of time reclining in various ways. And my plan is to keep talking to you about these elements that help us flow, that help us be mobile. So by the time we get to standing poses, my hope is that you have a fresh experience, right? You have a fresh experience, some kind of fresh learning takes place. So there are two ways you could roll this blanket. If you are tall and you have a pretty easy mobility of your upper spine, you don't have any shoulder neck problems, then you could roll the blanket in this manner. Make a good tight roll. But let's say, well, you're not so tall, or your neck it has a little stiffness, your shoulders have a little difficulty. Then I would make it doable, right? Make it practical for you, honor your own self with this kind of roll. It's a little bit small. Okay, so please make the appropriate roll for yourself. Have a block nearby. And a second blanket nearby. And then take a look here at how this is going to work. So I'm reclining back on the roll. See how it catches my shoulders. I give a little bit of a scrub back so the skin on the shoulder blades is drawn away from the neck and my head comes down. So I'm on the taller side. I'm completely comfortable here. You see my chin's a little up. But if the chin is excessively up, definitely please bring in the head support. Right, so we're going to do 3 different leg and arm positions. So this is the first, a relaxed arm, bent legs. I'll talk more when you're in there. Second position, straight legs, straight arms. Third position, holding of the elbow and the Baddha Konasana of the legs. All right, so please have your roll ready. Oh, I forgot about the block, sorry. And then at some point I'll cue you to, on the second round, you're going to put the block in. Why? Because the block supports your tailbone, you'll get a better hollowing, receding action of the abdomen. It will be the same 3 poses. All right, so first without the block, here we go. lie back over your roll. Remember, your shoulders will not be coming to the mat. Your shoulders will be suspended just over the edge of this roll. Have your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Let your arms be in a restful state. Emily, I know you're settled in, but I would feel I could help you so much more if you would turn your mat 90 degrees, right? Thanks, just so I could see the side view. Linda, just to let you know, I can't see your body at all. So if you want me to comment on you, please point your device down, because I'd love to be able to comment if that's practical for you to point that down. Kate, have your arms on the other side of the roll, okay? There you go, palms up, all right. Now, Margaret, you've gone way back off the roll. We do that sometimes in yoga, but in this one, the shoulders, remember I said, don't go off the roll, they're on it. The shoulders are on the roll. Yes, so it's going to be, no, even more, the whole shoulder blade, the whole shoulder blade. See, it's more of a Dvipada Viparita Dandasana, isn't it? It's almost a back arching pose, that's right. Same thing, Sarah, the shoulders are not to come off the roll. I'm not saying we don't do that in our technique, of course we do, but this is a different thing. Yeah, there we go. Now everybody reach the buttock toward the heel and lift the pubis toward the navel. So you are lengthening the lumbar spine even though you're in a back arch here. Let the breath be fluid. As I said, that's the main quality of the water element, fluidity. And the water element relates to the second kosha, the pranamaya kosha. If that's not familiar words, it means the layer of your body which is physiological, your organs, your blood, your glands, your nerve fibers. You could think of it as the contents of the container of the bones and muscles. That is the water element. Now stretch your legs and arms. When you stretch your legs, the pubis should not follow the thighs. The pubis belongs to the trunk. Again, Gita Iyengar's powerfully simple words. The pubis belongs to the trunk. The buttocks belong to the legs. It's very clear, Kristen, beautiful. Extend the arms, extend the legs, and turn the thighs from the outside in. Now, the air element has to do with mobility. Think of the wind. It can blow in every direction. And similarly, the mind can move in every direction. But in this air element, we become sensitive to the skin. Remember, we feel the wind on our skin. And the skin and the air element have to do with our subtle intelligence of the heart. This is known as buddhi, the subtle intelligence, the awakened intelligence, right? Buddha is the awakened being. Buddhi is awakened spiritual wisdom. Now, Baddha Konasana legs and Baddha Hastasana arms. So Baddha Konasana, bound angle legs. Baddha Hasta is the bound arm. So you hold one elbow in each hand. If you find that bothers your shoulder, the shoulder difficulty is there, you loosen that grip. Maybe you hold the forearm, maybe you hold the wrist, and maybe really holding, Margaret, isn't the best for you at all. Maybe you find some other position that is really comforting and good for your shoulder, your armpit. Correct. See, that is being practical in yoga. Do some of you remember reading B.K. Sangar's words so many times? I am a practical man teaching a practical subject. We have to make yoga practical for our own selves. Beautiful. The space element. Space pervades. It spreads. So that means that metaphorically, it means we're open-minded and adaptable. How many of us have had to be so adaptable in the last 8 months? More adaptable we even know we could become. All right, now bend the knees or put the feet flat, and now put in the flat block. Now the flat block should support your tailbone sacral region. So the sacrum is the back pelvis, the tailbone is the very tip of the spine. And notice that is certainly helping your quest for the pubis to belong to the trunk. Pubis belongs to the trunk. Melissa, your knees are a bit overbent. Walk the feet away a little. Very nice. Now let the breath go from the lungs. Remember I said the organic body, the contents of the body relate to the water element. So let the lungs touch the interior ribs. Oh, let's keep with the bent legs for a little bit more, everybody. So your lungs are not very much like a balloon. They really aren't. They're very much more like a sponge with lots of little holes. So you can easily think that even though when you're breathing in it's air, when it gets to your lungs, it really shifts to the water element because it is through your blood that oxygen is delivered to all the tissues of your body. So let the spongy lungs touch the interior of the rib cage. And you're in touch with that second layer, the physiological body. Now stretch the arms and legs. Legs turn in. Arms reach actively. Make sure the pubis has not followed the thighs. So the front thighs flow away toward the knees, but the pubis, very nice, Kate, flows toward the navel. Smooth, soft, steady breath. Turn the thighs in. Be aware of your skin. Your skin relates to the air element. Air element also relates to a certain quality of intelligence, awakened intelligence, discrimination, sensitivity. And now Baddha Konasana, Baddha Hastasana. Change the interlock of the arms. And now the feeling of spaciousness, that this hard division between what is you and what is the environment, maybe that doesn't have to be such a solidly clear distinction. You're spread in all directions, but still there's not a complete passivity in the low buttock abdominal region. There has to be a little effort there for the pubis to lift toward the navel, but see how much the block is educating that tailbone, leaving what I call a good impression. That's what asanas should do. They should leave a good impression upon us. Beautiful. All right, friends, very nice. Bend, put your feet flat, release your arms. Now that's pretty strong on the upper back for some of you, so please take your time to roll to your side and sit on up. All right, please get your strap, everybody. So we're going to take one more reclining pose before we stand up. I'm taking a small loop of the belt. I'm coming into Supta Panushasana 1. This may be very familiar to you, but take a look. It has some kind of differences today. So I'm standing on one foot, the other leg's up straight, and I push into the strap. See how I'm letting the strap flow through my hands? And then kind of hand over hand, I reel that leg back in. So I'm working on how fluid, how smooth can my movement be? Certainly I'm working on mobility of the hip. Well, mobility, stability are always interacting. Here's the source of the stability, the sacrum. And then after a few times, I'll have you stretch out the bottom leg and continue. Definitely the abdominal support has to be there so that the pelvis is not arching and tucking, changing. It's stable, it's steady, it's steadfast. All right? So go ahead and lie down, everybody. Put your belt loop on your right foot and hold with two hands. So there are many ways to handle a belt in Supta Panushasana, many ways. So this is just one. Step on your left foot. Your left foot should feel it's making a footprint into the floor. Spread the sacral region, so you don't over flatten your lower back, nor do you over arch your back, but the whole sacrum is steady there. And push the belt in, the foot rather, into the belt so the leg becomes completely firm, completely straight. And then with the abdomen hollow and scooped out, reel that back in. So you continue like that. We don't have to be exactly together, but it's not quick movement, it's sort of deliberate movement. Looking at this kind of relationship between the stability of the back pelvis and the mobility of the hip. If you are keeping your leg as straight as I'm hoping you are, your quadriceps by this point should be fatiguing. That is how much the thigh muscle should be held to the bone. Now go ahead and stretch out the bottom leg, reach the thigh, follows the movement of the leg, but the pubis does not. The pubis belongs to the trunk. And now continue up and down. A few more times. Eyes soft, tongue passive. Can your leg be firmer and firmer, straighter and straighter, with a very stable pelvis? Finish the one you're on, and then take what I call a mini shavasana. Let go, completely let go. And observe if there's a difference between the touch of your body on the floor between the right and left side. Just observe the effect of what you have just done. All right, everybody, other side, please go ahead and put the loop of the belt on your left foot, and I will observe this second side. Your right leg is bent, right foot flat on the floor, and you hold the strap in two hands. Now feel you are standing on the right foot, push up into the strap to fully straighten your knee, and then push the foot away and let the belt slide through your hands. Really, it's like you're doing a single leg version of our yoga leg lifts. I would just slow it down a little bit and push through the ball point there, Emily. Elongate that ankle, spread the toes. Carry on. See that your pelvis doesn't have one position when your leg is up and a different position when your leg is down. Could the pelvis have this quality we call sthiti, steadfastness, stability, firmness? Up and down you go with the thigh muscles firm. Thigh muscles keep the knees straight. And then when you're ready, stretch out the right leg along the floor. So we'll elongate the front right thigh away from you, but the pubis still lifts. Use two hands the whole time, everybody. This double arm action allows you to really push and pull. Push the thigh away. Up and down you go. So we're not going with a held pose, but a moving pose. Finish the one you're on, everybody. And again, relax, Shavasana. Go ahead, B. Just unmute yourself. Rest, everyone. Go ahead, B.
So I have a clicking hip. So wherever I go below a certain point, it clicks out. Should I belt on around it?
I'm not sure. To me, that sounds like you need more of this action where the thigh pushes away, that there's not this congestion of the thigh and the abdomen running into each other, that the thigh pushes away from the abdomen pushes away from the thigh, so that the head of the femur is centered in the socket. It's not hitting. So that's what I would play with. All right, roll to your side and sit up, everybody. So actually, I'm curious, how many of you felt a change in the way your body was contacting the floor from doing that when you checked in? Yeah. All right, so this next one, watch, is going from Supta Padangusthasana to Parivrtta Supta Padangusthasana. And we're not going to be sitting up. I'm showing it sitting up so that you can see the way I'm using the belt. So this is Supta Padangusthasana 2, right? So this hand is close, this arm is bent. So what's the benefit? I have two arms to control the weight of this leg, inject this leg into the hip even while I lengthen this whole thigh. And then I bring it across. I'm going to angle my body a little differently. And I switch hands. So now this is the straight arm and this is the pulling arm. So here's how that would look lying down. I think showing you at an angle will be best. So you see here, right? You see here, and then here. So again, I'm going with this idea of movement. All right, everybody lie down. Put the belt on the right ball point. And we'll do this one right away from the straight bottom leg. So here you are in Supta Padangusthasana 1. Now, as you take the leg to the side, doesn't have to be so very far at first, your right hand should be as close as possible to the foot. The left arm is bent. So both arms help you pull the thigh into the socket. But at the same time, now stretch from the groin to the knee and out through the heel. Then come up, and you switch. Now the left hand is close to the foot, and the right arm, you see, is the bent arm. And again, you don't have to go so very far. And then open again. So as you go along, again, we don't have to be exactly together. Look for the stability of the sacral region. So another important aspect of the organic body is the way we're managing this abdominal region. The abdominal region should be toned, firmed, but not gripped hard. It should be broad. There's a kind of softness on the surface, but a real strength deep within. And so the Iyengars talk about excavating the abdomen, scooping and hollowing out the abdomen. And notice that that abdominal support definitely will help you keep your stability on your sacrum. Now finish the cycle you're on with the abdomen absolutely scooped out. And what helps you scoop out your abdomen? Exhalation. Exhalation helps. All right, mini Shavasana, everybody. I find the effect of this one, honestly, to be even a little more dramatic. Maybe that's not for you. You observe whatever you notice. And now please go for side 2. Put the belt on the left ball point. And you go ahead and begin when you're ready. I think it's quite useful to start with a smaller range of motion and build it up as you go, so you can be very attentive to the abdominal lumbar region. So I don't know if you know this, but the Iyengars put the poses into categories. It's called classification of asana. This pose, the classification of this pose is not a leg pose, hip pose. It's called an abdominal lumbar pose. So that tells us something. That tells us it is the highlighted area of the pose. I see a lot of good work going on. So B, is it helping at all to really push the thigh away from the abdomen to avoid that clicking? I think there might be a happy future there, right? This is looking fantastic. Good. Get that last bit of length, Emily, on the back of the knee. So your calf really lengthens toward your heel. This is looking beautiful. So is this mobile? Is this fluid? Yeah. So we're working with those elements. Obviously, all the elements, the 5 elements, are always in play. But I just wanted to highlight the ones that help us be adaptable at this time where we have to adapt. Finish the one you're on, everybody. And then Shavasana. I call it a mini Shavasana. It's just a moment to observe, what is the effect of this work? What is the effect of this work that I have done? Very good, everybody. Roll to your side, come on up. All right, so now we're going to take a very typical Iyengar Yoga sequence, which is downward facing hero, downward facing dog, and Uttanasana. And looking at that, if you know, golly, I would do a lot better if I had some blocks under my hands for those poses. If you know you're going to need some block support for your Uttanasana, you have that. And then if the shoulder difficulties are there, why not make it doable? And you can do, really, you can do the whole thing with the chair. You can do the whole thing with the chair. So please choose judiciously, right? Anybody has any difficulties? You can place the blanket here between the calf and the buttock. Maybe you need several, but strive to have a pose in which your buttocks do touch. We don't want the buttock flying up. All right, come on into your pose, everybody. So no blocks, chair. You choose according to what is going to be helpful to you now. We don't go from the ego. We go from the yogic mindset that says, what will help me learn? What will help me elongate? What will help me have a quiet mind while I'm working? Right, those are the kind of questions that we ask from that inner intelligence, right? From that buddhi. So open the armpits, everybody. Take the groins back, the outer hips back, and extend the navel to the breastbone forward. Creep the fingers away, but don't allow the buttock to fly up. Smooth, soft inhalation. Smooth, soft exhalation. And now come up to your downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. If there's any slipping, of course, you can hold your mat edges. And press the thighs back. Press the thighs back. Sarah, lift your low ribs up out of your t-shirt and pull your buttock bones slightly down. I know it feels round, but it's not. It's so much better because now you can stretch up and back from the armpit to the buttock. Isn't that stretching your gluteals more, Sarah? Can you tell a difference there? That's really, really better. And that will help you with your inversions. Yes, it's going to help many things. And I appreciate the fact that you so readily, guess what she did, everybody? She adapted. She adapted to a suggestion and then she changed a little bit what she was doing. So this is looking beautiful, everybody. Good, Kate. Very nice, Kate. I would just go with a little more with the ankle hinges back. Don't move your feet. Move. See, that brought a little more life to the legs. If you need a break from this dog pose, you take it. Honor yourself. If you can stay a little more, put your ankle hinges back. Ankle hinges back. Now on inhalation, spread the skin on the side ribs. On exhalation, scoop out, excavate the abdomen. Now come down and everybody rest. So now I've presented this idea. It's a kind of shift, isn't it? Inhale into the skin on the side ribs. I said skin is air element. And then exhale and excavate the abdomen. That's right back to the organic body, the water element. Everybody clear? All right, let's try. Adho Mukha Svanasana, everybody. If you're slipping, hold the mat. If you have a shoulder problem, use the chair, right? Mr. Iyengar, he had many contributions, but one of them was this exquisitely very highly developed use of props and supports to make the poses doable so that we could really penetrate the pose and learn. On inhalation, open the side rib area. That's right, I agree, B, with the walking the feet back, because right now you're almost more in an Uttanasana. Go ahead and walk your feet back, way back to the far reach of your mat. Then we would call it a dog pose. Exhalation is to excavate your abdomen, but in such a manner that your trunk still gets longer. Oh, Sarah, I'm so happy. That's right. So the excavation of the abdomen is not to make your spine shorter. Spine is still getting longer. It's going very well, everybody. Lift your head a little bit. Walk your feet forward, Uttanasana. So now this should be feet about hip width apart. Those who can easily do fingers on the floor, of course you do. But if it is a struggle to straighten your knees, the point of yoga is not unmitigated struggle. There will be efforts, no doubt. But if you cannot straighten your knees easily, please put your hands on the blocks, put your hands on the chair, take some support. Now press your outer heels down and lift your inner thighs up all the way to your groins. So Alice, you don't need to move. I'm just telling you, I can't see your buttock, but I have a sneaking suspicion because I do a similar pattern that you would benefit from a little tug down of the buttock and a higher groin. I feel the groins are collapsed. Yes, see, now you're on your heels and your lumbar is spreading. Do you agree? Your lumbar is now spreading. So that's a more sophisticated Uttanasana and you easily followed, you knew exactly what I meant. And I can see the change, even though I cannot see your buttock. So that's fantastic. Hammer the outer heels down. Sarah, tip forward a bit so the buttock is over the heel bone. Right there, that's it. Same thing, I don't know if it's Lorena or Lorena, but tip forward, please, just a bit. And the inner knees a little sharper up. Now smooth, soft breath. So your legs are earth element, right? Your legs are firm, but let the skin on your upper back flow. Let the skin on your upper back flow. Let your inner body of your whole torso flow like a waterfall downward. Smooth inhalation, smooth exhalation. And now hands on the waist, look forward and come all the way up. Now, before I'm going to open the floor for questions, just take a moment in your Tadasana and observe the effect of that Uttanasana on your Tadasana. Is there not steady weight on your heel bones? Is there not some ability to have the thighs back? Be in Tadasana, everybody. We have support of the inner body, the physiological body. We have sensitivity of the skin, the air that touches our skin. It gives us discrimination and discernment. And we have the sense of spreading in every direction into space. And all these qualities help us be open-minded and adaptable so we can work with the challenges that life presents. All right, very nice, everybody. So we are about halfway through our class, so I'd really love to open the floor if anything hasn't been clear, if anybody has any questions. You don't have to think of a question, but if you actually have one, this would be the time. Anybody? We're good? All right then.
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, when in your direction on Uttanasana, where you had me come forward,
Yeah.
I did that, but then my heels were up. So what else do I need to do?
Such an excellent question, everybody. So take a look here. So one thing we look for in Uttanasana is that the buttock isn't behind the heel in this manner, and nor is the buttock in this manner in front of the heel. You want to see this outer pelvis exactly with the heel. And so Lorena is reporting that when I had her take the shift forward, the heels became light. So I hope it's not too obvious, but that when you press the heel down, and what we easily mix up is this is leaning on my heel, and this is pressing my heel. Do you see? This is leaning on my heel. This is pressing my heel. So here's how we can do it, because obviously I'm not going to just answer and not have you try anything. So your hands can be on the floor, the chair, the blocks, right? I'll have you raise up the heel, because that will help you lift up your thigh and get this alignment. And then you slowly press the heel down as if there were some kind of resistance there. You press, press, press until you end up exactly here. All right, so if you guys can start sorting out this difference between leaning on the heel, which we do not want to do, and pushing the heel down, which we do want to do, it will change the tone of your entire leg. Everybody try, okay? Take support as needed. Feet about 1 foot apart or hip width apart. For this to work, I would put your hands on blocks, Lorena. I think it'll work better. You'll be able to get that last little bit of lift on your inner knee. So you pull the heel up and use it doesn't have to be the maximum lift of the heel, but you pull up the heel and suction up the thigh muscles. Now you have to imagine you have something that's resisting your heel. As you slowly push the heel down, you suck the thighs up even more. Heels down, thighs up. Good, Sarah. Heels down, thighs up. Good, Melissa. Hips back, Lorena. They're too much forward now. No, they're too much forward. Take them back, back, back. Right there. Now let your head go down, and then you've got a brand new set of legs there, Lorena. You feel how firm your knee is, how firm your thigh. Hands on the waist, look forward and come up. How many of you felt a change in the tone of your legs? Right? The groundedness of the heel bone, right? Okay, so now get your washcloths. Or if you happen to have the swimming noodles, I'll just use those right now because they're handy. And put your washcloths or your swimming noodles back in. And so now we're sort of putting some things together, right? So we just established this very firm grounding of the heel. Kind of circles back to the fact, can you really work with these lighter elements without considering the earth element? Not really. The earth element always has to be there. It's our foundation. It's our shape. It's our connection to Mother Earth. So stamp your heels down as you just did. Have your swimming noodles. I know they're not showing this. I've got green on green here. And then lift the front armpit chest. Descend the outer shoulder blade edges. And breathe right into the rolls. Breathe right into the rolls. So that side chest expands. Again, not a strain, not a pranayama breath. Just a little deeper than usual breath. So I hope that's a positive feeling. I feel it really has transformed my understanding of fundamental Tadasana. All right, so if you have not already done so, please adjust your screen as needed, ideally so that I can see you from head to toe, just like right now you're seeing me from head to toe. And then you can have your blocks handy. All right, be in Tadasana, everybody. So can you remember the rolls? Remember that feeling of lift up through the side chest, the spread of the collarbones from the right to the left. Bend your arms. walk or jump. Take your feet wide and hands on the waist. So now press the outer edges of your feet down and lift your inner legs up. So I just gave that idea in Uttanasana, from the inner knee to the inner groin, it has to lift. Press the outer edges of the feet down, lift the inner thighs up, and reach out. Smooth inhalation, smooth exhalation. Revolve the arms deeply in their sockets. Now we're going to integrate breath and movement. So inhale to reach up. Exhale to stay. Inhale to reach up. Exhale to lower your arms back onto your waist. And now normal breathing. In this position, the elbows should roll from the outside in as you lift the front body up. And again, reach out. Revolve the palms. Inhale, reach up. Dig your heels down as you reach up. Exhale, stay there. Scoop out the abdominal bowl. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower your arms down, hands on the waist. And a gentle couple cycles of normal breathing. One more time. Reach out. Revolve the arms. Use inhalation, raise the arms up. Exhale, scoop the abdomen back into itself. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, open the arms out and hands on the waist. And now, Prasarada Padottanasana. So if you're able to go on your palms, your fingertips, you do that. But many of us are going to benefit by taking the blocks. The block has 3 positions. So take the appropriate height for yourself. So now the abdominal lift is quite a bit more challenging. Why? Because gravity would take your abdomen right down to the floor. So use your exhalation breath again skillfully to draw the abdomen up. At the same time you lift the abdomen up, take the breastbone forward, the skin on the breastbone forward. Smooth inhalation, smooth exhalation. Now, are your buttocks exactly over your heels? Can you discern that? Maybe you're leaning back, maybe you're leaning forward. See if you can adjust. Now be firm in the legs, press the heels, balance, and stand up. Walk the feet together. All right, so I'd like to just have you take a look at something, maybe very well known to you. When I take this Prasarada Padottanasana position, it's very, very easy for the abdomen to go like this with gravity, right? So we know the pubis should go toward the sternum bone. I lift up the abdomen. Good, but then look what happened to the shoulders. They got round. We know the sternum bone has to go forward. But then guess what? The abdomen dropped. As my teacher Dean says, it's a dilemma. But it's a dilemma for us to solve, to be able to simultaneously lift up the abdominal region and surge the breastbone forward. You see my hips here over my heels. Not too much forward, not too much back, right in the middle. All right, let's take that, everybody. Now I'm going to suggest that you use the back edge of your mat for your heels. It's just a simple way to be sure that you don't have one leg forward, one leg back, right? Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend. Hands on the floor or the blocks as appropriate. Now, press your heels down and draw your legs up. Smooth, steady breath. On exhalation, hollow out the abdomen. On inhalation, keep the abdomen hollow as well. Look forward, everybody. So your hands, Margaret, should be directly under your shoulders. That's a kind of cool pose you're doing. I like that technique. But right under your shoulders, that's right. So notice when you draw your shoulder blades back, if your abdomen would have a tendency to drop. I'm not saying it necessarily drops, you know, you're trained, but it's a tendency. Can you integrate the shoulder blade back, the abdomen lift, same time? Now hands on the waist, balance, and come all the way up. All right, so that is setting us up now for the next section of the class, which is a series of vinyasas. So I felt like a vinyasa, which is a set of linked poses, would work really well with what we're doing today, because vinyasa should have fluidity. So watch how this is going to work. Here I am in Prasarada Padottanasana. Now I put this block back here. It's ready for me. I bring this one around. This is not a classic pose, but it's very useful. Parshva Prasarada Padottanasana. So one hand is on my ankle, maybe my calf. That block can be whatever height you require. But notice this leg doesn't cave in. This leg pushes away. Now here's the really fun part. I bring this block back to me. I spin my heel under. Can you see what I did? I'm pivoting on the ball point. I roll the buttock underneath me, and there I am in Utthita Trikonasana. Of course, you use the block at whatever height you prefer. Now this is a variation of Parvata Trikonasana that we're taking. So you see how that is helping me get the kind of evenness, the length on both sides of my body. And that means his arm is ready to transition back around to the beginning point. All right, so I'll do it with you on one side and watch the other side. All right, so stand up, have a wide stance, and come forward. Prasarada Padottanasana. Make your legs firm. Now, move your right hand block out of the way. It's going to be ready for you later. Have your right hand on your calf, maybe your ankle, and walk the block diagonally forward. It's not so far around. It's Parja. It's not really Parvrita. The abdomen will definitely tend to drop. Lift it up and press your left inner thigh to the left. Be on the outside edge of your left foot as you extend your left arm and lengthen your left side body. Now walk the block back to you. Pivot on the ball point of the right foot so you swing the heel forward. And to me, this is the most fun part, where you roll the buttock underneath you and transform your shape into Utthita Trikonasana. Press your feet down, pull your thigh muscles up, abdomen back. There's that excavation of the abdomen. On an exhalation, reach. So you really have a Parshva Konasana arm, Utthita Trikonasana legs and torso. Now reach, and this is where you have to be adaptable. You have to sort of figure out, how do I need to move my feet? How do I need to move my hands to end up back here? Smooth, steady breath. You know, I think I'm going to do this with you on side 2, and then we'll repeat it and I'll do that. All right, so here we go. The left hand block gets ready. Maybe you know, oh, I'm going to need that tall. Well, you do that. Left hand holds the calf or the ankle. Walk the right hand and extend. Abdomen is lifted. Elongate the side body and keep your breath steady. Open the ribs, the waist, the armpit. Now walk the block back to you. So I'm leaning on that a little bit so I can pick up my left heel, pivot it forward, and roll the left buttock underneath. Roll. So it's like you're rolling onto your left side. Roll your left side forward, roll your right side back, and there's your extended triangle pose. Press your feet, pull your thighs up firmly. But most fundamentally in today's class context, I want you to excavate that abdomen, use the breath to access the organic body and draw the abdomen back. Now reach over, smooth inhalation, smooth exhalation, circle around. Now you have to do a little dance of the feet, a little dance of the hands. Come back, hands on the waist, and all the way up. Walk or jump your feet together. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I'm going to watch, I'm adding one thing. The thing that I'm going to add is not going to complicate it much at all. Just take a quick look. So here, the same. Here, the same. Here, the same. Here we were, right? Wouldn't it be logical? You can probably predict. Yeah, I bend my leg. And there I am in a very nice, clear expression of Parshva Konasana. Then my transition back to my sort of neutral home base, so to speak. All right, everybody. So jump or walk your feet apart, and please come on forward to Prasarada Padottanasana. 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. Feeling really like you're sort of a 4-legged creature. Very nice, smooth, steady breath, everybody. Eyes soft. Very good. Now put the right hand block back where you're going to need it later. Bring the left hand across. Don't go so far around B. It's diagonally forward. It's not, yeah. Because why are we doing it? We're doing it to elongate the left waist, left ribs. Don't go so far around, everybody. Buttock down, Sarah. Abdomen up. Buttock down. You're mobile. You have to contain that. Yes, like that. See, now you're on your legs instead of hanging into your ribs and your navel. Very good. Now, walk the block back a little because you'll have better balance. Bend your front knee, pivot on the ball point, and swing that heel way forward. Yes, very nice, Emily. Make your fluid transition. Wow, that worked well. Yes, everybody, it's looking great. Very nice, Linda. Your smooth transition into Utthita Trikonasana. Eyes soft. Now take the arm over the head. It's a little bit of a different action. So the stretch of your left side is the obvious. Stretch your right side. That's the unobvious. Stretch the skin on your right ribs, right waist. That's it, Kristen. It's beautiful. Now, keep the heaviness of the left heel bone as you bend the right leg, inner groin to inner knee. And oh my gosh, are you in one of the most spacious Parsva Konasanas ever? So space, reach into space, connect into space. So it's not about holding a shape so much as to expansiveness, extension, connecting outward like rays of the sun. Now come around to the front, back to your neutral starting point of Prasarada Padottanasana. By the way, there are many reasons to do this, but one of them, Gita has said, sometimes if you get she called it a catch in your back, that coming into the lateral standing poses this way would help people with back trouble. They would do better than coming from above. So that's just a little put in your pocket for future reference. All right, so now put your left hand block where you're going to be needing it. Walk the right hand block around. Remember, not too far around. It's Parsva. It's not Parivrita. We could do Parivrita, maybe another time. This is Parsva. But what I'm seeing you guys here, falling on the inside of the right foot. As they say in India, that should not happen. Be on the outside of the right foot and hit the inner right thigh to the outer right thigh. Then walk the right arm away to bring more length to the side body. Good. Now bring that block back to you so you have a little better balance. Pivot on the left ball point. Swing the left heel way underneath and roll the buttock underneath. Roll the buttock underneath so you end up in Utthita Trikonasana. Very nice. So I hope you feel spacious, right? This pose has the word Utthita in front of it. It has the word extended. So we can achieve a much lighter pose if we don't just go from the bones and muscles, but we go from this spreading, this expansiveness, where we feel we're suspended in space, that the borderline between what is self, what is other, what is my body, what is the environment, that gets a little bit blurred. We are just suspended in space. Now take the arm over, Parsva Konasana arm. Wait for me now, because I want to tell you something. Imagine I'm there with a rope on your inner right thigh. I hope you all know I would be pulling that rope which way? To the right as you bend your left leg. So the inner legs split, stay on the right heel bone. Ah, there you go, Melissa. Keep going then. Descend the left buttock bone, Melissa, just that little bit more, and breathe softly. Wow, Sarah, lots of good things going on. Margaret, I appreciate how you are rolling your knee back very well. Can you stretch that right leg with a little more fullness? And now circle around to the front. Very, very nice. Prasarada Padottanasana. Hands on the waist, balance, and stand all the way up. And now be in Tadasana. And don't think of your checklist of Tadasana, but be in Tadasana. Sometimes I personally, this is my own thing, refer to this as resultant Tadasana. This is the Tadasana that is the outcome of what you have just done. So it's not so much your checklist of Tadasana. You do adjust, but you're adjusting more from the inner intelligence than from the front brain memory checklist. You're adjusting from sensation. You're adjusting from sensitivity, discrimination. All right, good. So just another note, you could do what we just did for an hour, right? Because you could keep transitioning into any standing pose. You could make it a kind of a meditation or kind of like a Tai Chi form that went on and on. But now we're going to go to a single pose, and I'd like you to go with the chair. Even those of you who don't quote unquote need it, it's just going to help with what I'd like to share with you. And then you'll have a chance to take away the chair if you want. So I just thought an excellent pose for the themes of today would be Ardha Chandrasana. And just watch how I'm doing this, because it exemplifies both fluidity, mobility, and spreading out in space. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using the chair to make the absolute smoothest possible transitions in and out of the pose. I'm not worried about holding the pose. And maybe let's say on the third or fourth attempt like that, of this very smooth, light transition, then I'll firm up my hips, legs, abdomen, and see if I can balance with the image of spreading out into space. All right, so let's have a little fun with that. Have the chair to the side. I know it might be a little hard to see, but the back of the chair should face your screen. And then place your right foot 90 degrees turned out, about a foot away from the chair. That might depend on torso length, right? So a taller person might be about a foot away. If you're not as tall, maybe you're a little closer. All right, so now rotate the thigh, bend the right leg, shift, lift, be in the pose. Bend the standing leg, touch down, shift, stand. Bend, rotate the thigh, shift your weight, lift the leg. Just a moment there, sort of suspension, bend the standing leg, touch, shift, stand. Last one, now we'll hold the pose a little bit. How fluid, how smooth can that transition be? Stay in the pose, everybody. Now you're completely free to hold the chair, or you're free to take your arm up, as you wish. Now spread in all directions. This is a beautiful pose for this idea of connecting to space. As we know, this is the half moon. You can spread your moonbeams in all directions. Aha, that's right. So since you're all doing so well, I'm adding another kind of thing, which is the abdominal region should not be heavy on the right groin. Roll the abdomen up, climb it up off the right groin. So we know abdomen back, but it also should not sit heavily on the inner right leg. Now, what's your smoothest transition out of the pose? Your absolute smoothest transition. Oh, I like seeing the way you're working so well, everybody. Good, shift your chair, other side, very nice. So this brings us a little bit to the consideration of artistry in yoga. Mr. Iyengar always said that yoga was a science, a philosophy, but also an art. He took very seriously the demonstrations that he did because he felt they would convey to people the beauty of yoga, and that he would get people interested in the subject if he gave an artistic presentation. It was very important to him. So artistry first is being intentional, and then, you know, this fluidity, a gracefulness, let's say. All right, so lavanya, that's grace. Rupa, lavanya rupa, that's a beautiful form, right? That's in the 3rd chapter. All right, go ahead now, go 3 times. Now I won't direct you so specifically. I won't dictate the rhythm. You find a rhythm that allows you to have this fluidity, this smoothness. And then maybe you notice where the little rough moments are and you say, okay, what will I do on the next round to smooth that out just a little bit more? Very nice, Kate. Lots of good stuff going on, everybody. Right, is the breath supporting you? Now watch that upper leg, Sarah, that doesn't do an external rotation. That's a technical point, but yeah, that's right. Is the abdominal excavation there supporting you? And then finally balance. And now we're going to say that you're supported by space. You are actually supported by the way you reach out into space. Arm up or not, that's your personal choice, as you wish. You're a little heavy on the chair, Margaret. Move more on your left heel bone. Good, that's right. More toward your left heel bone, correct. And now come on up. All right, so this idea of fluidity, lightness, gracefulness definitely is part of our technique. So you will have a choice now. You can do it again just like that. Some of you might want the additional challenge of our more classic entrance into the pose, which we know is from Utthita Trikonasana, right? So if I'm coming from here, I have a bigger job to do to make this graceful. So I bend, shift, and how light and smooth can that be? If you're a little unsure, and you're not sure how that's going to go, well, maybe you can take this wall support to help you work on that fluidity and that artistic expression. All right? So you've got freestanding option, back against the wall option, chair option. All right, please go to your right, everybody. So as a yoga practitioner, we should be. We're scientists, right? We're studying ourselves. We're philosophers. We're studying life and reality. And we're artists. We're studying what is beauty. The good, the true, and the beautiful. Right? These are the qualities of Ishvara. These are the qualities of the ultimate. Very nice. If you find you had kind of a jerky entrance, well, why not just rewind and try again for a little smoother entrance? And this might not be all worked out right now. This might be a source for future practice to get this really smooth transition. Nice, Kate. Wow, look how that has developed, Kate. Wow, really, that's come a long way. Finish when you're ready and you go to your second side. Isn't it interesting? I hope you'll notice this, keep going, that just having this very clear intention on fluidity, on gracefulness, is your mind wandering? It becomes like a dharana point, a point of concentration for the mind when you focus on these very fluid transitions. Reaching out into space. When you're finished, stand in Tadasana. I think that went quite beautifully, everybody. Well done. All right, thank you. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, everybody. Stretch back. Let your brain be cool, your legs firm, your breath fluid, mobile, spacious. Just for a few breaths. All right, now have a seat, everybody. Take a look here. So now we are going, those who are headstand practitioners, you're going for headstand. But there may be a few of you who are not headstand practitioners, or you are, but right, you can't do it today for some reason, shoulder, neck, menses, whatever it is. Or you have a good 1 minute headstand, but then what are you going to do after that? So if you can do a 3-4 minute headstand, you go right ahead. Get your time in, do your headstand. If it's going to be a short stay or you need an alternative, you're watching me now. And you'll see it's very similar to what we did earlier. Very similar. The only difference is instead of a rolled blanket, I'm using a bolster. So now that's a little more height. Therefore, the block won't be flat. It will be on the narrow face. So look how it's the same as before. The scoot back, Shoulders are up, they're not down. Head support, tailbone support. And you're going to go with a straight leg. So your legs are sort of like a strong headstand arm, a leg. And then your arms are here. So you have a little bit of a headstand arm position. This is a Dvipada Viparita Dandasana for those not doing a headstand or those who are doing a shorter headstand. All right, so I hope that's clear. Go ahead, either with your Shirshasana or your supported back arch. Those in Shirshasana, how do you achieve lightness and spaciousness? Well, clearly you must have the firm grounding through the wrists and forearms. But then stretch up from the buttock to the heel. Even here, the pubis belongs to the trunk. So the pubis has to tug toward the navel even while the front thighs stretch upward. Looks good, Kate. Those in the back arch, be sure the tailbone is supported. Remember, your shoulders don't hit the floor. The shoulders are up on the bolster. And if your neck, your throat feels very stretched out, please take enough head support. Smooth, soft, steady breath, everybody. So on exhalation breath, both groups, whatever pose you're in, draw the abdomen back into itself. So the abdomen is receding, but there's a little bit of activity. That's why that word excavate comes in. That's quite a strong action verb. The abdomen draws back. So the back waist moves more into your t-shirt. The back thighs move back. You're aware of that breath. The breath really helps us access that physiological body, whether it is the abdominal organs, the lungs. If your headstand is over, you shift over to the back arch pose. Now, be sensitive to your skin. The skin on the back of the thigh, can you spread? The skin of the collarbone, can you spread? The skin on the face, soft. So remember, working with the skin is associated with the air element and brings sensitivity, discrimination. It's less than a minute to go, but absolutely feel free to come down. Everybody's going to do this back arch at some point. So you go ahead and set that up if you've come down. Final consideration, space. So the arms drill through the earth. There's a spatial vector to the center of the earth. The buttock, the heels climb up to the atmosphere. And so that vertical extension gives stability. A spatial consideration gives stability. Then expansiveness, the broad back thigh, the broad abdomen, the broad forehead, the broad throat. That's a sideways expansion into space. Now just a couple more soft breaths, everyone. And then come on down and please join us in the Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. Smooth, steady breath, everybody. So I'm going to check in with various students here to see if I can give advice. That's just fine, Emily. I would go though with the Baddhasta arms because we want something a little more quieting. Yes. If anybody finds the arms are kind of floating, it's good if you can to support the arms with a brick or a folded blanket. So the arms do have a little bit of a shelf. They have some kind of support. Now we can let go of all these sort of slightly intellectual considerations and just go with soft breathing. Just go with turning the mind inward. Do you need a review, Melissa, on that bolster? It's a sideways bolster. Yes. And the block should be ready there to support your tailbone. And that's a pretty big bolster. So I think you will need a folded blanket for your head because that bolster is quite large. Turn the thighs in. Change the arm fold if you've not already done so. Now you might be noticing, gosh, if I knew we were going to hold this pose this long, I would have belted my thighs. Well, that could be useful. Maybe you'll do that the next time. But for now, turn the thighs in. We're just here for about another minute. Remember, Melissa, the whole shoulder blade is on the bolster. The block is on the narrow face. Turn it up one more. Turn the thighs in, everybody. So notice how this position rather naturally opens the side ribs, rather naturally brings the openness to the armpits. Now I know some of you just got there, but those who just got there, you got to do a pretty long headstand. So I hope you'll just file this away for a future practice. Now I didn't show this, but you will be able to follow. Bend your knees, release your arms. If you're using a head lift, move it. It will be in your way. Now slowly slide back until you change this pose into Setu Bandha. In other words, your shoulder blades now come completely flat. Don't go so much back though. Just the shoulder blades come flat. Depending on your height, you might have to move the block a little, but that tailbone support should still be there. And now your arms are more like Shavasana. Or some of you might like having a little bend in your arm. That's fine. Yes, and then stretch out your legs. So in a Setu Bandha bridge pose, the shoulder blades should be flat on the floor. If you're tall and pretty experienced at yoga, and you know in your mind, I would feel so much better if that block were up tall. That's known to you. You are free to do that. The full shoulder blades flat on the floor, the arms resting on the floor. The block arranged. Some of you find the wide block is better than the narrow. You make it work for you. Setu Bandha. Smooth, soft inhalation. Smooth, passive exhalation. Alice, try just a little hop of the shoulders toward the bolster so you get a little more breastbone. That's more of a Sarvangasana breastbone. Yeah, that's right. Now in this one, Emily, the shoulder blades are completely flat on the mat. Otherwise, you're still really in a kind of a back arch. You've got to slide backward. So the shoulder blades don't go totally flat on the mat. I would take away the blanket that's under your head. Yes, yes, because you can open your chest that much. That's right. And now the block, and yes, that's looking more like a Setu Bandha chest. Just half a minute more, everybody. Probably a little shortchanged, right? We might want more time for our Sarvangasana category pose, but we'll just stay a little more. Let the brain be quiet. Have no thought of even anything I've taught today. Even though it's yogic information, finally, it's still a kind of distracted thought. Just let the mind rest in silence. And now we'll prepare for a brief Shavasana. So now, bend your knees and you slide back and let the bolster catch the flesh of the buttock. It's a little bit of a long way to go. You can push the bolster with your hands, but keep going till your whole spine comes down. Your whole spine comes down. And then some of you will feel best. You can just fold the crossed legs on the bolster. Others might prefer, no, I'd rather have my legs stretched out and that bolster under my knees. But please have it one way or the other, either under the crossed legs or under the knees, because both of those help the lower back muscles broaden and soften. Completely let loose. Let the weight of your body rest into the floor. Let the back body spread from the center to the sides. So you relax your muscles and your bones. Your muscles and your bones create your shape. That's the physical or anatomical body. Relax the bones and muscles that make your shape. Then relax the inner body, which we call as the organic or the physiological body. The watery contents, the organs, the blood, the lymph, the glands. Let that whole watery organic body rest toward Mother Earth. Let it go. Now relax the sensory organs. Eyes soft, tongue soft. These relate to the third kosha, the mind. Be quiet there. Let the mind be silent as the sensory organs soften and pacify. Eyes soft, throat, tongue very soft. And let consciousness descend down from the eyes to the heart region. Let consciousness rest in your heart. And while there's a sense of relaxation in the heart and the very core of your being, simultaneously relax the entire skin of your body. The entire skin of your body, release, relax. Now return awareness to the very heart of your heart. Turn consciousness inward toward silence, tranquility, contentment. Completely let go. Surrender to that contentment. Now let your next inhalation be a little longer, and the next exhalation like a gentle sigh of contentment. Bend your knees one by one, and gently roll to your right side. Take your time. And with one more chance for a very fluid transition, slowly come up to sitting. Fold your palms, everybody. And again, let's call up our intention from the beginning of the class that our devoted, our sincere practice benefits not only ourselves, but the benefit flows out to touch all those around us. Reverence to the divine within you. Namaste.